Online, it looks like we have Christina Dwyer, Alicia Beckholtz, Ethan Redfern, Lauren Ryan, and Pat, Melissa Fisher. Sorry, my computer just did something weird. Melissa Fisher, Missoula Karen, Current, Shane Stack, and Shannon Terrio. In 206, we have Commissioner Vero and Slotnick, Allison France, Carrie Powers, Maddie Scott, and Hughes, Chris Lounsbury, and South Annie, Kathy, and Brian West.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on items not on the agenda? Moving on to the consent agenda. Anything that needs to be pulled out or discussed separately?
I'm good just with passing on this consent agenda unless anybody else wants to talk about it.
Second.
Sand.
Any for, oh, sorry, Irene, go ahead.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Okay. Okay, any further discussion on the consent agenda? All in favor? Aye. Okay, action items. Shannon Terrio.
I'm so excited to be talking to you about this. It's exciting. So we're at another point, a milestone in our shelter remodel and expansion project, and that is signing our construction agreement with Jackson Contractor Group. So we've been working with them on our pre-construction, and we went through the RFP process and picked them as our general manager, construction manager, and they have been great. This contract is the AIA contract, and Ethan is on and he can talk about it more in general. I know they want to go to a different format for construction, but right now this is what we have, and it's been reviewed very carefully by Ethan and by Vinny and by Erica, and then of course by Jackson. There's 4 pieces to it, 2 of which have signature lines. So there's one piece that's the general conditions, one is a standard form of agreement, one's the guaranteed maximum price, which is where kind of like the details are that are interesting to me, and then the insurance and bonds. So the total price of this contract with the guaranteed maximum price is $3,541,520. And previously we've talked about 3.5 million. We talked with Chris that 41,000, which we feel like we can cover through our through money that's in our fund, our reserve fund, is basically to give us a legitimate what's that overage called? Contingency. Yeah, contingency. And so we, started with the 3% contingency, and Ethan was like, no, that's just not, Ethan and Jason said, that's just not going to be enough. So this gives us a contingency of 4% for the builder and 2% for the owner. I just, before you, I just want to thank you all for your support. I really appreciate Dave being at the groundbreaking and talking about animals. It was just really nice to hear the stories about animals. And so yeah, we're on our way. We're like this close with our permit, and this is another important piece. So technical questions, Ethan is on here and he can answer, and any questions about the shelter, I'm happy to take a go at.
Ethan, do you have anything to add, or you want to celebrate?
No, I think that was a great presentation. I got nothing to add. Very exciting project. Yeah.
Martin, do you have anything? There we go. Yep.
Yeah. I know you guys, I think you approached this to the city council about a month ago. I'm just wondering if you could just touch on the needs once again, just very basically, what's driving the need for this facility?
Oh yeah, I am happy to talk about that. That is why we've been working so hard. Yeah. So our shelter was built about 20 years ago. Missoula has really grown in the last 20 years, and the shelter is just not meeting the needs. It's not meeting the needs of the animals, of the public, or of our staff. And so also within those 20 years, industry standards have changed for what kennels look like and how much space animals get. And this concept really of having double-sided housing for animals so that they don't have to go to the bathroom and eat and sleep all in the same kind of small space. And so we worked with the University of Wisconsin Shelter Vet Medicine to really make sure that what we were doing was going to meet the industry standards and the recommendations, and that it would be good for the animals. And we did a bunch of redesign based on that. And so right now, if you go out to the shelter, and believe me, we will welcome you out to the shelter at any time you want to go. People are working on top of themselves. The kind of break staff table, meeting table is covered with animals because we just don't have enough space for all of our animals right now, or space for people. The project creates a better vet room, and so right now the room that we have is very small and it doesn't have a place for the animals to recover. It creates 2 meet and greet rooms for the public to meet animals. In the wintertime, they have to do that in our very tiny lobby. In the summertime, when it's nice, they could do that outside, but this gives the public more opportunity to interact with the animals. Because the animals have double-sided housing, it gives them more chance to retreat if they need to, so that it will allow us to have the public go back and look at the dogs. It'll be just a better environment for them. And so really the whole goal is to do right by the animals in our care and to help them get back home or adopted as quickly as possible. And by reducing their stress, we can reduce their illness and we can reduce the time that they spend in the shelter. So
Great, thank you. And just to clarify, you don't eat the animals here in Missoula, correct?
that is correct.
Marty,
Okay,
I was gonna
thanks.
make a joke
Thanks a
about
lot.
that. Bit my
Just wanna
tongue,
make
so
sure.
you make me feel bad. I was gonna ask Shannon if the animals were safe.
The animals are
they
safe. Yeah.
As long as they're licensed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I just have, yeah, as long as they're licensed. Thanks, Juanita. And, I just also want to say that the other thing, Martin, that I think is really unique about this project is the first project that was subject to the county's energy efficiency building policy. And by applying that policy, we made changes at the shelter that we wouldn't have otherwise made in order to reduce the energy usage at the shelter and to make it easier for us to install and use alternative energy, renewable energy. So that's another piece.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Shannon. Does anyone else have jokes or otherwise? Anything? This is awesome. We've been, long time coming, so really exciting.
All right, I move we request the board approve the AIA contract with Jackson Contractor.
Second, is there any other discussion or comment?
I just have a quick question. Is this one okay to be docu-signed? Or ready signed?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, it can
okay. Their contracts are.
Yeah, they're a little wonky, but yes, they
Yeah.
can be.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Oh, whoops, sorry, Ethan, does Ethan waving or Ethan have something? Ethan's out of here, okay. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Shane Stack.
Good morning, Commissioners. And before I forget, Annie, I have this contract. Do you want me to just email this to you for signatures?
Yes, it's not the one
Okay.
that's attached.
No,
Is
we
that
we redacted a bunch of stuff just because of
Okay.
I guess the legal nature. So I'll send the
Maddie's saying that she got the updated one and we republished and she attached the correct one, so. I
Okay.
think,
the original one is what we need signed, but the one that's attached is just for, I guess, call it the regular folks to see. So anyway, so this is just for a contract with Geosyntec Consultants or Aspect Consulting, just for hydrology consulting and essentially expert witness services at the water court hearing. So a little bit of background, maybe I'll share my screen, and I don't know if you guys will remember this, but we were expanding the place of use for all 3 wells in Lolo. And let me know if you guys can see the screen.
Yep.
Okay. So if you remember, we had this like hodgepodge, these cross-hatched areas. So this blue cross-hatched area was well number 3, which is right here, which is like right down Highway 12. And then wells 1 and 2 are right next to each other, right off of Glacier Drive, right next to the railroad tracks. So we expanded the place of use for wells 2 and 3 to this purple boundary, and you can't see the entire purple boundary, but I'll zoom out in the next image and kind of give you a sense. That went through DNRC just because of the age of the wells. They were perfected after the 1972 Constitution. The process through DNRC was relatively painless, and we made it through without any challenges. Because well 1 was perfected prior to the 1972 Constitution, we had to go through the water court, and the water court requires that anybody, and I'll just focus primarily on this yellow area now, anybody that owns property inside this purple boundary, which is the new proposed place of use, would be notified that the community of Lolo and their water system are trying to change the place of use for just well 1 to expand out to those purple, or expand out to that purple boundary. I think a lot of folks took that as, some sort of impact to their water rights, and I had a lot of calls. Was able to explain simply that all we are doing is changing the boundary that exists today to a larger boundary that we can deliver water to. We're not taking anybody's water rights. Nobody's water rights are changing. Our water rights aren't changing. All we're doing is expanding this place of use. So the water court received a handful of comments. And because of that, now we have to go through hearings. And so we have to hire our expert witnesses that know a lot about hydrogeology. And so hence this $54,000 contract to hire Aspect Consulting and Jared Bean to provide those professional services. So hopefully that's a kind of a long story, but a clear understanding of what's going on.
Could we have done anything differently? Or is this a way to get the message out so folks weren't so concerned at the beginning? Or is there's no way that we could have
I suppose
communicated differently?
Maybe you could have worded it differently. I don't know. But, we'll go through the water court hearing, and maybe through that process, it'll become clear that, there's really not any impacts on folks. It just allows us the ability to deliver water, in the future as Lolo grows. And maybe Lolo never grows, but it's entirely possible that it continues to grow. And I just want to point out, let me share my screen again. Just to give you a perfect example of this. This was, originally where all 3 wells where they had the ability to deliver. There's this little development here that happened over the last, say, 5 years, Cherokee Lane. All these folks are connected to the system, none of which are, were able to technically, legally deliver water to without expanding that place of use. And so as this area potentially grows, if we want to serve those folks, we have to expand the place of use. And of course, like we've already got wells 2 and 3 expanded. So these folks are in that area now. But I think we still want to get well 1. And I've talked to Ross Miller's our legal counsel on it. And, I don't know that if we end up not having the ability to serve with well 1, I don't know how you parse out where well 1 water is going, because they're all connected to the same pipe. So anyway, it just makes sense if we just have all 3 wells with the same area. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Good, thank you. And I think unless the entirety of our economy collapses, Lolo will grow. We should be accounting and planning for such growth. So I move that we request the board to approve and sign a PSA with Geosyntec Consultants.
Second, any further discussion or comment? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Thanks, Shane, for your
Thanks
work
for
on
moving
this.
this along, Shane.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, correspondence, discussion, events and invitations. Okay, we're done. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.